would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believe.
Welcome to Wake Up with Wendy, Discover the Magic of You. My name is Wendy Kaplan, and I am so delighted that you have joined us today. We have a special guest for you today, Jackie Bell, who is a natural healing expert and consultant. And our show today, as always, is all about you, discovering your magic, discovering your life purpose, discovering what it is you are meant to be doing personally or professionally. Many of us reach a time in our lives when we ask ourselves the questions, is this it? Is this all there is? And is there more waiting for me, either personally or professionally? Many of us reach this time where we reevaluate what it is we're either doing for work, our careers, or what it is our personal life looks like. This happened to me a few years ago where everything seemed to be going just fine, yet I had a restlessness inside me that I couldn't quite put my finger on. And I had the sense of there was more that I could do with my one precious life. And I believe that there may be more waiting for you as well. This past weekend, we spent time with friends, and the guy was someone who has been laid off from his job over a year ago. And as we were going for a walk in the woods together, he said to me, you know, I've been dreaming about working for the police or in law enforcement. Now, this is a gentleman who has no background in this at all, and yet he's always dreamt about this since he's been a child. And decided through our walk and towards the end of our time together that he was going to volunteer on a very part-time basis for the state police to get a sense of what it is that this dream has been about. So I think there may be something for you that you're dreaming about. And I hope through your watching of our show, you will start to discover it for yourself. Our guest today is Jackie Bell. Jackie is a natural medicine consultant and has created magic in her own life through her gift of applying natural medicine principles to her health, to other people's health and lifestyles. And today we're going to talk about her gift of natural healing and specifically natural breast health. So this show today is specifically for women and for the men who love them, who want practical information about how to care for your health in the area specifically of breast care. So welcome, Jackie.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And as you, our guests and viewers, listen today to Jackie and I talk, I want you to think about you. I want you to think about the words that she's saying that are meant just for you. And you'll know what that is because you'll feel a sort of tingling inside. But there's some message that she has for you that you will know as we go forward today. So welcome, and I'm delighted you're here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So as we start, Jackie, can you just tell us a little bit about what you do?
What I do is I'm a consultant in natural medicine, and I have some equipment from Europe called European thermography that I use to test people as a screening. What we're looking at is how well the body's functioning, and if you have some symptoms, we look at why the body isn't able to heal itself, and I put together a plan to understand why that's happening, explain that to you, and put you on a program back into wellness. I do have a lot of chronically ill clients as well, and I work with them to direct them to the practitioners that would be the most helpful for them.
Great. And I know we're going to talk a lot about this, and I'm interested in having you share first a little about your journey and how you got into this area. It's a very unique area to be working in. I wondered what inspired you and how you landed here.
Well, it's always easier to look back, and for those of you who are looking ahead and trying to look into a crystal ball and say, how do I make my dreams happen? If you look back a little bit, you can usually find a magic thread. And so a little bit of history on what happened to me is, as a college student in Ivy League prep school and engineering school, I was very dissatisfied and unhappy and didn't know why. So I decided to take some time off and I traveled. And one of my journeys led me to the Rocky Mountains of Montana. And I met other young people my age and made some fast friends. And one of the girls who had been grown up in Idaho said, "Hey, there's a Native American medicine man in town. He's going to give a course on herbology. You want to take that with me? It'll be fun." And I said, "Great," and I had just learned what the word organic meant and organic food, and I just learned to bake bread, and I thought, great, I want to learn about cooking herbs and kind of, experience more. I didn't even know that there was such thing as medicinal herbology. I didn't even know that there's a whole nother world out there that's been part of every culture in the world. And so he opened my eyes to that, and he explained to us principles in healing, natural medicine, herbology, how to take care of ourselves, how to fast, how to incorporate herbs into our lives, whether we were making poultices and tinctures or ingesting them for medicinal purposes. And he also taught us the sweat lodge. So I don't think I took any notes because my jaw was dropped and I just absorbed everything like a sponge. And that's really what led me, that coupled with organic farming, living on an organic farm and caretaking it, that really propelled me into the world of natural medicine. And I became an observer for about 17 years. I always tell people I hauled water and chopped wood for 17 years. And after a few seasons of that, you really start to pay attention to the rhythms of the earth, everything that's provided for us on the earth to keep us well, and the natural principles as you apply them to your life, how they work. And in the 90s, I started studying European medicine. I got a dark field microscope and really started studying medicine. And I trained under doctors who have a clinical background of healing chronic disease without drugs and surgery. And in Europe, they are very, very sophisticated in how they incorporate homeopathy, natural remedies, natural therapies, which I call nature cure therapies. And so I started to, of course, continue to apply them to my life, apply them to what I was seeing in the microscope, and that led me to buy more equipment and be able to consult with people in time.
So your journey is fascinating to me personally because I have this interest in how to combine natural medicine and traditional medicine.
Yes.
And so I find it fascinating that you've been doing this since very early on, right? College, you said. And I think what I want to point out to people is that it didn't start with knowing exactly that you were going to study European, with European doctors. You just followed an interest that you had, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the journey had more to do with first applying things to myself, taking one step at a time, whatever I was comfortable with experimenting in, but then a deep passion for being able to learn more and help other people with it. And I found that the European way of approaching natural medicine did just that. It embraced the best of the allopathic world and the natural medicine field, because the diseases were becoming more and more, not complicated, but more and more relative to the age we live in. And so you have to step up to that as well.
So let's talk about for a minute, because about natural medicine and traditional, I don't know if it's called traditional medicine, but the medicine I'm familiar with, when I have something wrong, I go to the doctor, right? My primary care physician. So can you, how do you know when to do which? Do you go just the natural medicine route? Do you go the traditional route? Do you combine? How do you know if you're someone out there that has some ailment or chronic disease or illness?
That is such a personal choice, and I've come in time to really respect and honor people where they're at, because some of the choices that people make are not choices that I would make. And the choices that I would make are not the choices that they would make. And a lot of it has to do with what you're ready for and what you know. And so a big part of what I do is educate women. That way they can make more of an informed decision. And so if you're facing some kind of a symptom that is, you know, giving you fear, and you're talking to your doctors and you find yourself filled with fear, then that's a time to take a deep breath and step back and say, wait a minute, I'm moving in fear and I'm making decisions out of fear. I'm not making informed decisions. I'm going to step back and take a minute and either get second and third opinions from doctors if there is a time element involved, or I'm going to take the time to research myself, talk to people I know, and find out more about the subject and find out what else I could be doing. So I'll find that people who, for instance, have a hip replacement, I was like, oh man, if you had come to me, I wish you had come to me. I wish I had known, because I would have liked to turn over a few more options for you to see if they work before you went to that extreme. And so it's really, I don't want to say anything negative, because it really is a personal choice. And for, working in the field of breast health, there are women who will say, well, I really understand why the lump is in my breast now that I've come to you, and I'm still going to have the surgery, and then after that I'll take the natural approach. Or I really understand why I have the lump in my breast now that I've come to you, and I'm going to go natural 100%. And wherever they're at, whatever is going to give them that deep peace and that knowing and that, that confirmation in their soul that this is the way I should go, that's what I want to give them.
Yeah, and so it's we talk a lot on our show about using your inner guidance and our intuition. And when you talk about knowing, that's what you're referring to, right?
In a way, yeah. And I think sometimes just having a few bits of missing information, like a lot of women don't know some basic ABCs about breast health. And when they get those basics, then their intuition kicks in and their knowingness kicks in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the natural breast health, and what is it that you want to tell us and spread the word about. You and I have known each other for a few years now, and I want to tell our audience that I came to you originally because I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and my doctors wanted me to take a very aggressive route for curing it and eradicating it, and I was freaked out. And so through my second and third and fourth opinions is how I found you, and decided to go the natural route, and since 2003 I've been just fine. So I love the work that you do and think it's really important for women to know. So where should we start?
Well, let's start with that first slide. If they could put up the first slide. And we'll talk about the fact that the way that we're taught to approach breast health is through the early detection paradigm. So when you go to the doctor and you go for testing, whatever test it might be, either a mammogram or an ultrasound or an MRI, usually they start with a mammogram and they start with an examination. Once if they detect a lump in your breast, either by physical examination or by a mammogram, say, that lump has already been in your system and developed for an average of, we'll say, 6 to 10 years. And in Europe, they believe that it's even been there longer. And what I mean by that is that the process that your body was doing to form that lump started many, many years before you actually developed the symptom of having the lump.
Which most people don't know, right?
Right, and so they think, oh, well, last year I had a mammogram and there was no lump, and now this year I have a lump. What, I got a lump now.
Right.
And the way that the medical establishment works is their whole purpose is to find and detect the lumps as early as possible.
Right.
Because then they can either extract it with surgery, they can do a biopsy and see what it is, and then they go into their treatment mode from there. And in Europe, they did a study that just came out. The World Cancer Research Fund just published a study in 2009. They did a study in 4 countries on 12 different types of cancer. And in the United States, they estimate that 38% of breast cancer can be prevented with diet, exercise, and weight loss. So in other words, if we are willing to lay down a foundation of good nutrition and the right kind of lifestyle, that we can prevent over a third of the breast cancer in our country. And so what I like to do is inform people that now the medical establishment is starting to see that we should get on the forend, even before the earlier detection, and start with prevention. And so I believe that if we do those, lay that foundation, and then get an individualized program for your breast health, that percentage could be even greater.
That 38% is a very big number.
Yeah, it's over a third.
That's amazing.
And that's just with laying a foundation of nutrition and lifestyle.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So is now a good time for our next slide?
Yeah, now is a good time for our next slide. And the next slide has to do with the fact that over 90% of breast cancer is found by the woman. So it's usually the woman who says, "Oh, doctor, I noticed that there's a lump in my breast." He says, "Oh, yes, I see. Yes, there is. Let's do some imaging." And to me, that means that we should be spending time examining our own breasts.
Yes.
So I actually encourage women, all my clients, I teach them to do a daily breast massage, because not only will that improve circulation to and from the breast tissue, but it keeps you in touch with the anatomy of your breast, and then you become responsible for monitoring your own breast health.
You know, it almost seems like you've told me that years ago, and you know, you go to the dentist and they tell you to floss, but nobody ever tells you to do self-massage
Yes.
to keep your breasts healthy. That's like a huge
Yes.
piece of information.
Yeah, and so the way that it works now, I mean, the dentists help keep our teeth clean because they've trained us to clean our teeth in between checkups.
Right.
So I call self-breast massage brushing and flossing your breasts in between checkups. And it's really basically the concept that, you know, you have to do stuff in between checkups for your breast health to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to tell us about
Well,
this?
let's go to the next slide and talk about thermography. Thermography is what I do, and there's two types of thermography. There's the digital imaging thermography, and there is the European contact thermography. And you'll see from the slide that the digital imaging uses a camera to take an image of the heat patterns in your chest area. And the contact thermography, it takes a temperature on your skin before and after your skin is exposed to room temperature air. So it's much more of a functional test. We get a picture of the change in temperature for the breast tissue, but then also the breast in context of the chest area and then the whole body. So we don't get an image. What we do is we get a graph, and then I analyze the change in temperature, because if there is no change in temperature, that means that your nervous system is not able to respond. And it's your autonomic nervous system that we're interested in tracking, because that's what heals your body, does all the involuntary metabolic processes. So if you get a cut, it's your autonomic nervous system that sends all the signals to heal that. So we want to know, why isn't your body able to heal itself? Where isn't it able to heal itself, and what kind of pattern is going on in the system? And that gives us really a lot of information just using this one test. Also, this European thermography is approved by the FDA. It was approved by the FDA in 1998 and has insurance code. Not a lot of insurance companies are covering it because they really are sold into the imaging, the mammogram and so forth. So you might not get coverage for it, but more and more people are trying to get coverage for it. And it is important that it's FDA approved as an adjunct to other tests for your breast health.
Yes.
So the European thermography, if you could put up the next slide, please, is designed also as a holistic test. The European thermography, like I said, it looks at your breast health, but it looks at your health in context of your whole body. It was designed as a whole body test for men, women, and children. And so for the breast health, we're concerned with the chest area, we're concerned with infection, maybe in a distant place like a dental area.
Right.
And we're concerned, we can see your lymphatic system, we can see your GI tract and your liver, all of these things, and also your ovaries and uterus and the pelvic health as well. And all those things play a very intricate role in keeping you healthy and understanding why you might have developed a symptom.
So I heard you say it's an adjunct to a typical mammogram, and so do doctors know about thermography? Can you go to your doctor and get a thermogram? I know I come to you to get thermograms,
yes.
But can you go
No,
elsewhere?
your doctor will not. I mean, really, there's a tight-knit group that really wants you to have mammograms and, follow a certain paradigm. And that's what they're trained in, and that's what they're good for. But you need to come outside of that a little bit to address more of the physiology of the breasts and look at a holistic picture. So your doctor may have heard about thermography, but basically they're not going to be interested. Most of my clients are educating their doctors instead of the other way around.
Yes.
And usually those are the women who really do not want to have a mammogram anymore, and their doctors want them to do something,
Right.
and they're happy that they're at least doing a thermography, even if they don't really approve of it or they don't understand the results. It's just not part of their world yet.
Yes. So the last time I went for a physical with my primary care physician, he was going through the list of tests, the protocol tests, and came to mammograms and said, "You haven't had a mammogram for a few years." I said, "I know, I'm doing thermography instead." And he said, "Oh, I've heard about that. And could you send me the results of your thermogram next time?" And I thought, well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign.
He was interested in learning more.
And even the information, they probably are not, they don't have the background to know really what to do with the information like a holistic practitioner would.
Yeah. So would you tell us the process of what it's like to, we all know, most of us know what it's like to have a mammogram, but most of us don't know, and probably never want to have one again if we could help it, don't know what a thermogram is or what you do when
what the appointment is like.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, thanks.
So when you come in, then you'll come in, say, dressed just as you are. I'll use a temperature sensor. You'll have filled out an intake form first, and then I'll have some information on you. And then the way that the test goes is I have a temperature sensor that you use to gently touch the skin. There's a lot of points on the face because we do all the teeth, all the sinuses around the eyes. We'll do the front of the body, the neck, the lymph, the chest area. And so I'll undress you. You'll undress a little bit to access the skin. And then you'll take off all your clothes down to your undies. I'll finish taking the measurements on the front of the body and the back. And then you stand for 10 minutes in the room. After 10 minutes, we take a second temperature reading. You get dressed. The information comes up on the computer. I analyze it and write a report. We review the report together. So we review the findings.
Right then and there.
Right then and there.
Right.
And then we also review a game plan for you. So I always say that all my girls get homework. Even if you have a good, healthy reading, we can usually find a few things to improve yourself. So even if you go to the hygienist and she says, "Oh, you're doing such a good job, but make sure you get behind that molar over there. Don't brush so hard on this side."
Yes.
So I might have a few suggestions maybe to help you with some digestive issues or something like that. But I'll also encourage you in the breast health, explain what's going on in the chest area and the lymphatic system. And then I have a network of holistic practitioners. So I will choose practitioners that are particularly suited for the results of your test and a bit with your personality and your motivation level and, just try to match someone up with you so that I get the best compliance I can out of my clientele, which is actually really great. And most people are so grateful to be made aware of holistic practitioners that are in their area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know that people can see you individually, like I come and see you. Do you want to give the name of your website and how to find you?
Yes, the name of my website is naturalbelle.com. And on there you'll see the different locations where I work out of, phone numbers to call, and also a lecture schedule. Like I said, a big part of what I do is educate people. So I lecture at different health centers around Massachusetts and Connecticut.
That's great. And do you have a story or two of some of the women that you've worked with that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and there is one woman, she came to me and she had a breast health rating of suspicious. And so I sent her to most of her health picture was pretty good. She didn't have a lot of symptoms. And so I sent her to someone for lymphatic drainage. I had her do a lot of nature cure therapies at home, and she was really unnerved by the findings and wanted to do something about it. And I said, let's just relax. Let's take a good 4 or 6 weeks here and spend a lot of time reversing the process and opening up the congested areas. So she did. And she came back about 6 weeks later, and her breast rating improved to borderline. And so we really felt that it wasn't an issue that she needed to go see her doctor about, because we got a change really quite quickly. And I sent her to a therapist who's actually very good in breast massage and well trained in it. And little did I know, she came back again in 10 months, and she was telling me that she had been seeing this this massage therapist diligently, and they had really developed a good relationship. And then she came to me the next year, and she said, yes, this is the first year I haven't had pneumonia.
Wow.
And apparently every February she would get pneumonia and severe bronchitis and really be in uncomfortable situation for about a month. And it was the first year that she didn't. And the thing is that the therapist that I had matched her up with, they got along so well, and they had worked so thoroughly on the breast tissue and had resolved that the woman was then open to working on more. Because it's like layers of an onion. Sometimes you deal with the most obvious things, and then you get to the deeper layers.
And it impacts each area of the body, sort of impacts other areas, right? From a health
Exactly. She happened to have a lot of stuff in her chest. She was holding a lot of emotion and grief and just a ton of stuff and tension. Her lungs were really congested and so forth. And through all this therapy, she was able to open that up, and now she doesn't have the chronic bronchitis pneumonia every year.
So in just the few minutes that we have left, is there a tip or something you want to leave our viewers with?
Yeah, I would like to just advise your magic friends who are listening that, like I said in the beginning, you never want to work from a place of fear. If you're in a place of fear, it's time to just stop your world, relax, look around and see what's there right at your fingertips. It's just like, oh yes, you might have an intention to do one thing, but it'll open a door to something that you really, really want. And it's very important not to work out of fear. And if you take the time to relax and really just recenter yourself, open your eyes again, and you'll see that what you wanted is right in front of you. And if you just do one little thing a day or one little thing a week. If you're trying to improve your health, it's say, okay, well, I am going to go for that walk. I'm just going to do the one thing that fits in my lifestyle. Gradually, that will
one step at a time.
Grow into something more and more that will encompass your whole life.
And one tip regarding breast health and prevention that you might share?
I'd really encourage you to look for a breast massage. I have a self-breast massage that I hand out freely to people. You can email me for that. You just go to my website and email me. I'll be happy to give that to you.
www.naturalbell.com. Naturalbell.com.
And so massaging your breasts every day makes a huge difference in your breast health. I'll be posting testimonies on the website about women who have very, very dense breasts, have been, very shy about it, though, that's not one to express it, but how happy they are that their breasts are much more softer, much,
and healthier, right?
Yes, healthier and so forth.
So thank you so much. There's so much to learn from all of your knowledge, Jackie, and we hope that today was helpful for you. And you got a chance to hear all about Jackie's journey as well as Natural Breast Care. And you can find out more information about our show at info@themagicparties.com, and also find out more about breast thermography and thermography at www.naturalbell.com. Our quote for today is, "Intuition is seeing with the heart," and that's by an author, Winter. So what was the message that you were meant to hear today, just for you? And what's the one action that you are meant to take? Thank you to our guest, Jackie Bell, and our production crew, and thank you to you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next time at Wake Up with Wendy, Discover the Magic of You.
what could I achieve? Trusting the hero in